What's up guys, Ryan here from MudGunner, and today we're going to be talking about 5.56 and 308 and kind of my thoughts on the two. And this is going to be for a couple parts. One, if you're thinking about choosing your first rifle, because I do have first-time gun buyers at the store that I work at that want to buy a 308. So I'm going to give you guys my thoughts on that, and just in general, because 308 is a lot of fun to shoot. It's a pretty powerful round, and it's noticeably different than a 5.56, but I think there are some considerations to think about when you buy one. So I just wanted to talk about that. Now, my experience with 308 with my guns is I don't necessarily have any cheap 308s. I would say another reason why I'm thinking about doing this video, actually two reasons. One, 308s are a lot more affordable nowadays. Like, we get used AR-10s at our store for like $500-600 now. That's pretty cheap. That is cheaper than a lot of 5.56s. So that's part of it. The other part of it is I'm doing a viewer build video this Friday where I show off your viewer builds and talk about them on my channel. I do this every week. And this Friday's theme is suppressed heavy hitters, so bigger calibers, 308, 6.5, stuff like that. And I need more submissions for it. I only have like 3 or 4 right now. My goal is to have 10 to 15 to talk about. So if you guys want to show off your big build, so 308, something like that, could be an AR-10 or other guns, I'd like you to send the picture plus your build list on it to my email. It is sales@atroxco.com. If you're not familiar with my viewer build series, go check that out. I've done it for like 22 weeks in a row now. And yeah, every week is a different theme, but when you describe it, you're gonna describe it from tip to butt on whatever you've done to it. It could be a factory gun, right? Like, this is a factory SCAR, but I've just put some upgrades on it. So yeah, just talk about your build from tip to butt and send a horizontal picture, and it'll be showcased in this week's viewer build video. So that was another part with wanting to talk about 308s, but it is a valid question. Should you buy a 5.56 or a 308 as your first rifle? I'm gonna say my instant opinion is do a 5.56 first. And the reason is just overall, it is cheaper. Sure, you could buy a gun for $600, but I would trust and probably want to shoot a $600 5.56 more than a $600 308. And I'm not saying that you can't get a reliable one for that cheap, but I would just be hesitant. And again, my experience is with more expensive stuff, so these are my main two 308s that I shoot. In the last year, I've acquired a few more, but these are the main ones that I've had. I think I've had both of these since like 2017-ish time, and I've put a lot of rounds through each. If I've had to guess, I would guess maybe 15 to 2,000 rounds through the SCAR 17. It doesn't sound like a lot, but it is a lot. Like, it's 20 round mags, not 30 round mags. When I go do range days with it, it's anywhere from like 3 to 5 mags, maybe more, because I shoot a bunch of other guns. I'd have to guess 15 to 2,000 rounds. It could be more, it could be less.
Head. Awkward. Head. Whew. Go ahead, drop, clear, hammer down, safe direction, cool.
I just don't want to lie to you and be like, yeah, I've shot 10,000 rounds through this, because I haven't. But I do run it mostly suppressed too, that's another thing. I've ran it in a bunch of competitions, drill type settings, and it runs very good. This is my SIG 716. It is the Gen 1 and it's a precision model, so it came with an 18-inch barrel. It's piston driven. SIG discontinued all their piston driven 308s or 716s, which kind of, I guess, bugs me a little bit. But the new ones, the Tread or the 716i, they're direct impingement and they're noticeably cheaper. These ones brand new at the time, I think were like 22 to 2,500 bucks. I bought this used, but it came from the factory with a Geisley trigger, Magpul PRS stock, this Harris bipod. It came with flip up sights, which I still have, but I had to take them off for the scope. So yeah, it came from the factory, mostly upgraded. I just added the Magpul grip. I changed the muzzle device. It came with a PWS. I added this Huxworks because I got an OSS Helix QD suppressor that I'm going to put on there at some point. And then right now I'm running a Nightforce SHV. It's a very heavy gun, but the modern SIG 716 direct impingement models, they're much lighter. So yeah, as far as 308s, again, my experience is with expensive ones, but budget ones that I think are good based off of what people say at the store that I work at, because we sell a bunch. The Ruger SFAR, that one's about $1,000, and it's really hard to beat a good AR-10 for $1,000. So as long as the Ruger is good, I would say that one's pretty decent. I just haven't shot it myself. The Springfield Saint Victor, or just the Saint 308, that one's like $1,200. That seems like a pretty decent deal. The SIG 716s, I forget. I know they do a couple different models. I think they do like a $1,500 one all the way up to a $2,200 one. But yeah, I mean, I like my SIG. Apparently the Gen 1 Precisions or the Gen 1 716s had some issues, but I've never had any issues with this. I probably have about 400 or 500 rounds through it because it's more of a long range gun. I don't shoot it as much as the SCAR, and it's noticeably heavier. But yeah, just those would be the three options. Like if I had to buy a gun for about $1,000, it'd probably be an AR-10. It'd probably be the Ruger or the Springfield Saint. The ones that come into our store in like the $500 or $600 range, a lot of them are builds, either Palmetto builds. We get some Aero Precision builds. Those ones, I'm sure they could be fine. It's just with 308s, they can be a little bit more finicky. The other thing to think about when you're buying a 308 is the ammo's more expensive. Optics, you got to spend more money to get quality optics. I would not trust anything less than like a Vortex or a Holosun, something like that to run on a 308. It's going to have more recoil, so if you buy, in my opinion, if you buy a really crappy Amazon optic, it's just not going to hold up to the recoil, or an eBay special scope. Like, I would buy something with a name behind it. Again, like Vortex and Holosun, you can get cheap options like around the $200 mark. We get tons of used Vortex scopes and they have a lifetime warranty, so that is the bare minimum that I would put on there. When I first got this gun, it started out with a Vortex Viper 4-16 by 50. That was a really cool scope. It worked well, but just over time I eventually upgraded it to this Nightforce SHV, and even this is like a more budget Nightforce. I recently picked up an HK MR762, which is just an HK version of this. That one's gonna get a Nightforce NXS, which is supposed to be better. But I'm just kind of getting into the long range shooting. Okay, I wanna get more knowledgeable on it so I could do more content for you guys, but I don't have a huge background or a lot of consistent shooting with long range. So the main thing I do is with the SCAR 17 here, it's kind of like set up as my battle rifle. So it has a 3.5 power ACOG plus an offset RMR. So I know we've been talking a lot about 308, but yeah, I just think budget of the gun, if around $1,000, there's some decent options nowadays, but ammo is going to be more expensive. The optics are going to be more expensive, in my opinion, just to start out with. But round wise, it's just a heavy hitting round. So I'll show you both of these. So that's 308 and 5.56. 5.56, the average is like a 55 or 62 grain bullet. 308 on the low end is like 147 or 150 grain bullet, but you can go up into the 180s. So yeah, heavy hitter, moving very fast, and it's very satisfying to shoot. But my recommendation would be to start off with the 5.56, and I've also done the video of 5.56 versus 300 Blackout. I would still say 5.56, most common caliber, relatively cheapest to shoot. It used to be that 7.62 by 39 out of an AK was the cheapest to shoot, but not anymore. So yeah, this is basically America's caliber besides 9mm in a handgun. 5.56 is America's caliber for rifles, in my opinion. It's just the most popular one out there, most common. Easy to stockpile ammo, easy to stockpile mags, parts and availability and just price of doing it. Like I said, you can find some cheap 308s that are about the same price as a 5.56, but I feel like for the money, you could find way nicer 5.56s than you can find 308s. But that's just part of it, right? Like it's less power, so I assume it's just easier to manufacture, and it's less proprietary parts, because like if I want to change anything like internally on my SIG, it's all proprietary. So AR-10s can be a little bit more proprietary. I think a lot of them nowadays use the same stuff, but like the SFAR from Ruger, that one takes like standard AR-15 components, which is cool. That's a good idea because a lot of AR-10s take proprietary triggers, safety selectors, charging handles, stuff like that. So yeah. And then 5.56 is pretty modular, right? Like this one is set up as like a battle rifle, so mid to close range. You could push it out for distance. That one's set up for just distance. ARs, like there's a lot of 1-6s, 1-8s, 1-10s now, so you can do a really good mid-range gun. You could do just like a close range or, you know, red dot only. You can set them up as DMRs, but honestly, kind of like the Mark 12 stuff where you can do like up to a 10 power is pretty cool. I even want to do a red dot on this one. This is a Vortex Razor HD 1-6, so it goes up to 6 power, but I still want to add a red dot on there. And yeah, just a lot of fun to shoot. It's easier to train with a 5.56. It's lighter. Magazines, you get 30 rounds instead of 20 rounds on most 308s. There are 25 round mags for some of the standard AR-10s, but I would just stick with 20s, and I would probably steer away from anything bigger than that, or just you can have it. It's just 20s are going to be the gold standard and the most reliable for AR-10s, just like 30s are the gold standard for AR-15s. Sure, you could buy a 40 or 60 or a drum mag, but this is the most reliable way, in my opinion, for AR-15s. So yeah, other than that, like I said, if you can do it, I highly recommend it, AR-10, because they're very fun to shoot, and you can set them up for a way further distance than you could shoot 5.56. But yeah, just if you're looking for your first gun, the 5.56 is going to be the most practical. Now, if you're trying to steer away from practical, then go for it. But yeah, I really do enjoy shooting 5.56. I don't shoot 308 as much as I shoot my 5.56s. It's just way easier to accumulate ammo, mags, and shooting time on this than my 308s. But yeah, I hope you guys enjoyed. If you have any questions or any topics that you want me to talk about, comment down below. I try to do a daily YouTube video for you guys for all of 2024. We got one more month, or I guess just under 2 months because we just started November. But yeah, I've been really enjoying it. Next year, I probably won't post as many videos per week, but I will try to get higher quality videos for you guys, more shooting content. I recorded a couple of shooting videos this past weekend, and I'm going to try to post them every weekend. So yeah, stay tuned for those. I shot and blew up a gun, which I actually have right here, and it was pretty cool. So we blew this gun up with a 300 Blackout this weekend. It actually still has a 300 Blackout bullet lodged in the frame, which is awesome. And then if you watch this Sunday's video, I shoot something else. So yeah, thank you guys for watching, and stay tuned for my next video.